guys, it's Robin and I am back again with another video about crime scene investigation. So I want to just say thank you to everyone who has left comments on my previous crime scene videos with different questions. I've received tons and tons of questions on both videos, as well as in my email and as well as on Instagram and some on Twitter. So just thank you. I really appreciate the feedback and the questions that you guys have left. So now I can make you guys another video. So the most commonly asked question that I received was about the degree. So a lot of people wanted to know if they got a criminal justice degree, would that be okay to be a crime scene investigator if they got a criminal justice or like a criminology degree. So this is what I say about degrees, so hopefully everyone sees this video. A criminal justice degree is typically okay if you want to be a crime scene investigator, but I strongly suggest if you get a degree in criminal justice, make sure you are also taking science classes. If your school offers forensic classes, take those as well. If you can have a minor, then I would suggest minoring in a physical science such as biology or chemistry, or minor in like forensic science. But I think it also depends on the route that you want to take. Do you want to be a crime scene investigator for a short period of time, or do you want this to be your outstanding career? Do you want to work in a lab? Do you want to work in the field? Do you want to be a sworn crime scene investigator? Like, do you want to be a police officer? Do you want to be a detective and work homicides like as the lead detective? Or do you want to be the lead crime scene investigator? Because there's a difference. So I think you need to think about all of those things, take all of those things into account before you decide which degree that you're going to focus on. And you can always change your major when you're in college, because your mind may change. What you think in high school, when you select your major when you're in the 12th grade, you may decide something later your junior year after you've done an internship or something. Okay, I know that was a long answer. I'm going to try to speed this up, guys. So another question I received was, what do you like about being a crime scene investigator, and do you intend to do more work in forensics such as lab work or progress up in the ranks in forensics? So what I like about being a crime scene investigator is that every day is a different day. You may do the same things over and over again. I've said this in a previous video that it can become routine and you're doing the same tasks, but every day is still different. And you're meeting new people every day. You are seeing new things sometimes you see something you've never seen before and it like just completely blows your mind. So some things are really weird, and some things are really crazy. Some things are really just traumatic and awful, but every day is different. And that's what I like most about crime scene investigation. So do I intend to do more work in forensics such as lab work? I don't want to do lab work. I'm not the type of person that can sit inside of a lab all day. Like, I need to be able to move around. I need to be out doing stuff in the field, because being in the lab kind of reminds me of being in the office, and I just cannot imagine having to be stuck in one room all day long. Like, I cannot do that. That's not me at all. As far as progressing up in the ranks in forensics, do I plan on progressing up in the ranks in forensics? Yes. That is the reason why I wanted to go after getting my crime scene investigation, my master's degree in crime scene investigation, because I already have a bachelor's degree in forensic biology, so I want my master's in crime. I will have my master's in crime scene investigation in December. I will finish my degree in December. So yeah, December of this upcoming year. Hopefully everything will go well, which I know it will. So I'll plan on being eventually I want to get to a supervisory role, or a manager role, or like the head of a forensic unit. I'm not sure which department that would lead me to in the future. I'm not necessarily in a rush because I am still very young. I'm about to get married and everything. So I'm kind of focused on my life right now, taking everything day by day. And I'm definitely not in a rush, but I do want the money. So I will go ahead and do that one day. Another very common question was about being a cop, and do you have to be a cop in order to be a crime scene investigator, or do you have to be sworn, and what's the difference? So I answered the question about what's the difference between being a sworn crime scene investigator and a civilian crime scene investigator in the last video. So if you have not checked out my last video answering the questions about crime scene, then go ahead and check that out. But again, just to reiterate, you do not have to be a cop to be a crime scene investigator. You do not have to be a police officer. At most agencies you don't. There are some agencies that will require you to be a police officer first, which means you would have to be in patrol first for at least 1 to 2 years before you can move into the crime scene investigation unit, if they allow you to move there. So if you only want to be a crime scene investigator, you don't want to be a police officer, then I suggest you look into agencies that have civilian crime scene units and apply to one of those, as opposed to an agency where you have to be sworn first. One question that I received that I thought was a very good question was, are there a lot of women or people of colors in the crime scene investigation in my unit, or crime scene investigation in general? So I'll speak in general. Are there a lot of women in crime scene investigation? Yes, I would say, but as far as when it comes to being a crime scene investigator in the police department, all like in general, all around the world, yes, but we're still outnumbered by the men. There are definitely more male crime scene investigators and male police officers because you are working in a male dominated field. Police work, law enforcement is a male dominated field, but yes, there are a lot of women, and there were a lot of people of color, not so much. There were not that many crime scene investigators in the unit that I was in that were people of color. There was I'd say out of 50 people, maybe about 10 or 12 were persons of color, and that would include Hispanic and Black, not just Black. As long as you love what you do and you go out there, you work your hardest. It doesn't matter if you are young, if you're older. Like me, when I first started in my unit, I was the youngest person in my unit, and I just, I worked my way up. I was promoted to a second level crime scene investigator and to a crime scene analyst, and it took a little bit of time, but I mean, I did it, and I showed that I was able to do what everyone else could do. And you just have to really, as a person of color in this field, you have to work a little bit harder than other people do to get where you want to be, because other people make it a little easier than we do as persons of color, because I've seen a lot of people of color in my unit take longer times to get promoted than people who are of the majority. So yeah, another question I received was, do you have to go through any type of training before you get to work the crime scene? So yes, you do go through training before you get to work any crime scenes. You'll go through your classroom training or your field training. I went through classroom and field training, and also your educational background should help you out as well to know a little bit. You should have some type of practice during like fingerprinting and photography and stuff during your educational experience, but you should also be learning that and going through that and having field training at the department that you're going to work for a few weeks. My original field training was 4 weeks, and once I got promoted, I had to go through field training again because I was going to higher crime scenes, more major crime scenes, and that field training was for 10 weeks. The next question I received was, do crime scene investigators do lab work or just collect evidence? So the lab work that we do process evidence. We can use different chemical processing techniques in collecting sometimes like biological evidence off of some physical evidence that we receive, such as blood or saliva or semen or anything like that. So it just depends on what you get that day, the type of evidence you're going to be collecting off of it. But yeah, we do some lab work, but we're not in there extracting DNA from clothing or things like that. Okay, a really important question that someone asked was, are the duties of a crime scene investigator split equally within the crime scene unit, or does one person do all of the work? So honestly, that depends on the agency that you work for. The agency that I worked for in DFW, it was split equally in the crime. Okay, so you can say it was kind of split equally because we had a rotation, like, okay, when you come in every day, someone else is the first person to go out. So basically you get dispatched to a call, and then if you're at a call, somebody else may just be dispatched to a call, then someone else may be dispatched. So everyone can be out doing crime scenes. And so we're getting an equal amount of, answering an equal amount of crime scene calls. But is one person doing all the work? That can vary, because say if I'm at a homicide, then as a crime scene analyst, I would need someone else to come there with me. Sometimes that wouldn't happen if we were just too busy, then you just have to do what you got to do by yourself. But typically, if there's an officer involved shooting or a homicide, if there's basically a high profile case, then they want it to be more than one crime scene investigator, because there's a lot more things that have to be done at the scene. So you're definitely going to need help. So sometimes we would have like a crime scene technician come to help, which is the first level, the entry level crime scene investigator. We would have them come to help process with the fingerprints and do like the things that they are trained to do. And then we could do the other things, like worry about the photography, worry about the laser scanning if we have to do the 3D imaging, things like that. So it just depends on the scene, what is needed, and the manpower that it takes to get that kind of stuff done. Okay, so someone asked, does the departments that have open positions for sworn and civilian vary by states? Yes, I would say it varies by states, but it more so varies by department, because in one state you could have 50 different police agencies, and of those 50 police agencies, they could have all sworn units, all all civilian units or a mixture of both. So it really just depends. It's department by department. So again, you have to do your research to see what it's like in your area. If you don't mind relocating to another area. Me, when I applied, I did not care where I moved to. I just knew that I wanted to move out of my parents' house. So I applied all across the country, and I made it my mission. I said, whoever hires me first, that's where I'm moving to, and it was Texas. Someone also asked, can you be a crime scene investigator and a forensic scientist? Crime scene investigators, some would say that crime scene investigators are applied forensic scientists. I don't disagree with that, but I also don't agree with it. So the reason why I say that is because there are some crime scene investigators like myself who have forensic science degrees and who actually have that educational background, where if I wanted to, I could go work in a lab and I would know what I'm doing. But then there are some crime scene investigators who have been there longer, like the older generation of crime scene investigators who may not have degrees in crime scene, and they solely have field experience, but they don't necessarily have the background in the education, with all of the science courses and all that kind of stuff, to say that they're forensic scientists. I would say no. Do I consider myself a forensic scientist? No, I don't. But I am qualified to be a forensic scientist if I wanted to. But can you do both? You can, but I don't think at the same time. It's really one or the other. And if you are at an agency where you have to do both, you are definitely going to be overwhelmed. You're definitely going to be burnt out. If you don't know what burnout is, check out my last video, because I spoke about that in one of my last crime scene investigator videos. But if you want to do crime scene investigation and be a forensic scientist, you are going to be burnt out. Just thinking about that is stressful, because there's a backlog of evidence for forensic scientists, and there's a backlog of evidence for crime scene investigators. There's no way I would want that kind of stress. It's stressful enough just as a crime scene investigator. So there's no way I would go through double. No, I would not do that. I would not suggest that to anyone. Decide what you like when you're in college or when you're in high school, whenever you can make that decision. Decide what you like the best and stick to that. Go after that. Have the background so that in the future, if you want to switch and do the other, then go ahead and do that. But decide what you want and stick to that, because both that's going to be too much. Another question I received was, are you allowed to shadow someone who is a crime scene investigator to do what they do in a day? The answer is yes. For most agencies, it's called a ride along, and I suggest this to people in the comments all the time. If you're in college and you are interested in becoming a crime scene investigator, go to the local police department and ask them, can you do a ride along with the crime scene investigation unit? The unit that I worked for, we offered ride alongs all the time, and most times when we did the ride alongs, it was on my shift, which was working overnight. So people would come in at 10:30 and they would be out with us sometimes half the shift, or they would be there the whole shift. So sometimes they may be there until like 2 in the morning, or sometimes they would be there till like 6 in the morning. So if it's something that you're interested in doing, then I would definitely suggest go out and speak to the crime scene units or the departments, fill out an internship, or apply for an internship so that you can, try to get some experience, and that'll help you decide if this is really what you want to do, or do more than one ride along, because every day is different. You may have a ride along and there's not a lot of action that day, and you think, oh, this is just easy, like this is a breeze, and then you go back the next day and it's chaotic as I don't know what, and you're just like, oh my gosh, is this really what I want to do? So I would suggest doing 2 or 3 ride-alongs, different agencies, to see, because some agencies are different. You can be 20 minutes away at 2 different agencies, well, at least in Texas. I don't know about other states, but in Texas, cities are so close together, where the agency I work for, we have another city, let's say like 30 minutes away from our headquarters, and they are not as busy as we were at all. So you really just have to decipher out, the 3 different agencies, decide which is best for you, which best fits you. Do you want a fast-paced environment? Do you want a slower environment? But I would say that if you're in a more fast-paced working environment, or if you're in a bigger department like I was, the 6 years of experience that I had in that department kind of equates to like 15 years of experience in a smaller department, because the amount of crime scenes that I have been to and that I've worked, and the amount of murders and homicides and officer-involved shootings and everything that I've worked is probably the same as someone who worked for just 15 years at a small agency. So it really just depends on you, your personality, how long you want to be there. So yeah, that's all the questions I'm going to get to today. I went over my time, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any other questions that I did not get to, there are some questions that I didn't get to, and I won't be able to because this video is already too long. I'm 10 minutes over the limit, and I have to get this down to 15 minutes. So some of these questions are going to be cut out anyway. But if you guys have any questions that you did not hear in this video or in the last videos, then ask in my comments. You can send me emails if you need advice as far as crime scene investigation goes, or if you're in college or high school and you have questions about becoming a crime scene investigator. you can send me an email. And I do respond to the emails when I receive them. If I do not respond to your comment, it's just because either it's been asked already or because I'm getting too many comments at one point, and I do still work, guys. I am an essential employee. I am at work. I'm not working from home. So I'm not always going, and I'm planning my wedding right now. So I cannot always get to every single comment. I try to get to as many as I can, but I haven't been able to answer every single one. So I hope you guys understand that, and I also hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.